I didn't mean to notice her that way. But the moment she opened the door, barefoot, hair still damp from a shower, voice husky from not speaking yet, everything inside me stalled. "Hi," she said, pulling her sweater tighter, though it slipped off one shoulder anyway. "You must be Noah." Her name was Elena, my girlfriend's mom. And she looked nothing like what I'd pictured, not the tidy, cheerful mother I'd imagined waiting with cookies. She had that kind of stillness that made silence feel like gravity. The kind of beauty you don't notice all at once, but in pieces, the soft lines near her mouth, the way her eyes studied before they smiled, the quiet command in how she stood. I stepped inside, shoes squeaking on her tile floor. The house smelled like coffee and rain, the back door was cracked open, letting in a cool drift. Somewhere a clock ticked too loudly. "She's running late," Elena said. "You can wait if you want." I wanted. She moved through the kitchen, tying her hair back with an elastic she found around her wrist. The motion was small, ordinary, and I couldn't look away. She noticed. I knew she did. Her glance lingered just long enough before sliding off, polite again. "You're studying architecture, right?" she asked, pulling 2 mugs from the cabinet. "Yeah," I said. "Trying to, anyway." She smiled, faintly, like she'd already guessed I'd say that. "Trying counts." "Sugar?" "No, thank you." The way she handed me the mug, warm ceramic pressing against my fingers, her nails brushing lightly, felt like more contact than it should have. It wasn't a touch, not really, just a fraction too long. But my chest tightened anyway. Outside, the rain started again. Thin, steady. It hit the window in a rhythm that filled the spaces between us. She leaned against the counter, sipping her coffee. "So," she said, voice low, "how's she doing?" "My daughter. She doesn't say much lately." The question felt loaded, though her tone was gentle. I searched for something safe to say. "She's good. Busy, I think." Elena nodded, eyes still on me. "Busy," she repeated, quiet. "That's what I tell people, too." The air between us shifted, softer, heavier. I watched her thumb trace the rim of her mug. She caught me looking and didn't look away. Just a small lift of her chin, like she was daring me to hold the moment. I did. She smiled then, but not out of amusement, more like she'd remembered something she shouldn't have. "You look nervous," she said. "I'm not," I lied. "Sure," she murmured, glancing at the window again. "You're standing like you're waiting for permission to breathe." The clock ticked. A drop of coffee slipped from her spoon, dark and slow against the counter. She wiped it absently with her thumb, then looked back at me. "Do you want to wait in the living room?" "I'm fine here." She nodded, but didn't move. Neither of us did. Her daughter was still nowhere to be heard, no footsteps, no voice upstairs. Just the two of us, the rain, and that steady hum of silence that seemed to grow with every heartbeat. Then Elena stepped closer, only half a step, but close enough that I caught the faint scent of her shampoo, something floral and warm. Her eyes flicked down, then up again. "You have that look," she said quietly. "What look?" "The kind that gets people in trouble." And before I could answer, before I could even think, the sound of a door opening down the hall cut through the stillness. Elena straightened. The moment broke. But she didn't look away right away. Not until her daughter's voice called, "Mom." Her lips parted slightly, like she might say something she'd regret. Then she whispered, just for me, "Next time, don't stand so close." And turned toward the sound of her daughter's footsteps. I told myself the first time was nothing, a charged second stretched too far, a trick of timing. But it stuck with me. The way her voice dipped at the end of sentences, how her gaze held steady when most people slid away. For the next week, I tried not to think about her. Failed. When my girlfriend texted, Mom can give you the spare charger if you're near the house. I hesitated. 5 seconds, maybe 10, before I replied, sure, I'm close by. I wasn't. But I went anyway. Elena opened the door like she'd been expecting me. She was barefoot again, wearing an oversized shirt tucked halfway into jeans, sleeves rolled up. A smudge of flour streaked her wrist. Hey, I said, suddenly aware of how stupidly young I must have looked, hoodie, damp hair, the nervous half-smile that never seemed to grow up. Hey yourself, she said, stepping aside. You caught me baking. Chargers on the counter. I stepped in, the familiar scent of her house, coffee, lemon, something faintly warm, wrapping around me. The kitchen was dim except for the light spilling from under the cabinets. She turned back to the dough she was kneading. Her hands moved slow, deliberate, pressing and folding. You didn't have to come all the way for this, she said. I was nearby. She didn't look up. Were you? I tried to laugh it off, but it came out uneven. Guess not. That earned a small glance, quick, sharp, but softer when it landed. You remind me of someone, she said quietly. Who? Myself, maybe. 20 years ago. I leaned against the counter. That a good thing or a bad thing? Depends what kind of day you're asking me on. She smiled, that tired, self-aware kind that hides more than it shows. The silence between us stretched again. Her wedding ring finger was bare. I'd noticed that the first day. Now, I asked before I could stop myself. Do you live alone? She nodded, dusting flour from her hands. Mostly. I was married for 16 years. Was? Yeah. He's in another country now. We talk when it matters, taxes, birthdays, legal things. She shrugged. You? I hesitated. Nothing serious. Not until now, I guess. She caught the implication. Her mouth curved slightly. Guess? I felt the heat crawl up my neck. I mean, your daughter's great. She turned back to the dough, kneading slower. You don't sound convinced. I started to answer, but her phone buzzed on the counter. She wiped her hands and read a message. Her expression flickered, unreadable, then resigned. She's staying over at a friend's, Elena said, setting the phone down. So you came here for nothing. Maybe not nothing. She looked at me, really looked this time. Her eyes softened, like she wanted to say something she didn't dare. You should still take the charger. I didn't move. She didn't either. The hum of the refrigerator filled the space. When she finally stepped past me to reach for a dish towel, her shoulder brushed mine. Barely a touch, but it burned through me like it meant something. She froze for half a second. Then she turned, hand still resting on the counter, inches from mine. You're easy to read, you know, she said. Am I? Completely. I swallowed, trying to sound casual. And what do you read? Her eyes dropped to my mouth, just for a blink, before she looked away. Trouble. Her tone should have warned me off. It didn't. I reached for the towel she held, fingers grazing hers. The contact was small, accidental on purpose. She didn't pull away right away, only after a breath, her hand lingering just long enough to leave a print in the air between us. She stepped back, clearing her throat. You should go. I nodded but didn't move. You're shaking, I said quietly. She laughed, short and disbelieving. That's just the coffee. But her hands were empty now, clasped too tightly together. Outside, rain started again, soft, steady, the same as before. She walked me to the door, close enough that her sleeve brushed my arm. When she opened it, the cold air hit, sharp against the warmth of the house. Good night, Noah, she said. Good night, Elena. Neither of us stepped through the doorway. Not yet. Her hand lifted, like she meant to fix my collar, then stopped halfway, fingers hovering near my throat before she caught herself. She smiled, barely. You should really go. But her eyes didn't match the words. I nodded, finally stepping out, the door slowly closing between us. Just before it latched, her voice slipped through the crack, softer than the rain. Next time, don't make me tell you twice. I told myself I wouldn't go back. And yet, a week later, I was standing in Elena's kitchen again, pretending to fix the loose handle on her cabinet. She'd texted, "It keeps falling off. I could use a steady hand." No mention of her daughter. No emojis. Just that. When I arrived, she was already waiting, hair pinned up, sleeves rolled past her elbows. There was something deliberate about it, like she wanted to look casual but couldn't help overthinking how. "Thanks for doing this," she said, handing me a screwdriver. "Of course." She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching. Too close. I could feel the warmth from her skin even without touching. "I could have called someone else," she said, voice soft, teasing. "I'm cheaper labor." Not sure that's true. Her tone wasn't flirtatious exactly, just low enough to make my pulse shift. I worked in silence, aware of every tiny sound, the scrape of metal, the creak of her leaning closer, the small breath she caught when my arm brushed her side. "Why do you keep helping me?" she asked suddenly. I glanced up. "You asked." That's not an answer. Her eyes stayed on me, steady, searching. I didn't have one that wouldn't make it worse. Before I could think, her phone lit up on the counter. Her daughter's name flashed on the screen. Elena snatched it up, thumb hovering over the reply button, then froze. "She says she's on her way." I dropped the screwdriver. "Wait, here?" Elena's lips parted in a quiet laugh, half disbelief, half panic. She must have forgotten something. The air tightened between us. The silence was louder than the rain outside. I grabbed my bag, but she caught my wrist. "No, wait, she'll see you leaving. Just, stay here." She pulled me toward the narrow hallway that led to the laundry room. Her fingers slipped from my wrist but didn't let go right away. We stopped in the half-dark. The only light came from the crack under the door. We could hear the front door opening. Her daughter's voice, faint, cheerful, too close. Elena pressed a finger to her lips. "Don't move." I didn't. Couldn't. We stood close enough that my breath stirred the loose strands of her hair. The smell of her, soap, flour, faint coffee, filled the tiny space. Her hand was still on my arm, thumb tracing something small and unintentional against my sleeve. My chest felt too tight to breathe right. "She's just grabbing her charger," Elena whispered. "She'll be gone in a minute." Her whisper brushed my jaw. Every word vibrated too near my skin. I nodded, barely. Outside, footsteps crossed the floor, a door opened, closed again. Then silence. Elena didn't move. When she finally looked up at me, her face was inches from mine. Her breath hitched, quiet but sharp, like she'd realized just how close we were. Her gaze dropped to my mouth for half a second, no longer than a blink, but long enough to light everything between us on fire. Then she shook her head slightly. "This is insane," she whispered. "I know." Her hand slipped from my arm, but her fingertips trailed the length of it before she pulled away completely. A door clicked shut somewhere in the house. Her daughter had left. We stayed still anyway. "She can't know," Elena said softly. "She doesn't," I said, but my voice betrayed me, too low, too sure. She exhaled slowly. "You shouldn't come here anymore." "Do you want me to stop?" She didn't answer. The silence that followed was heavier than any answer could have been. Finally, she reached for the door handle, stopped halfway, and turned back to me. Her eyes met mine, steady, unguarded this time. "You make everything too quiet," she said. "Even my head." And before I could respond, she brushed past me, her shoulder grazing my chest, deliberate, lingering, then left the room. I stood there, pulse hammering, every part of me still tuned to the echo of her voice. When I stepped out into the kitchen, she was facing the window, her reflection faint in the glass. Neither of us spoke. But when she turned slightly, her eyes found mine in the reflection. No words. No movement. Just that shared, dangerous stillness. Close enough to want. Far enough to break. It had been days since the laundry room, days that felt like held breath. I tried to stay away. Told myself I would. But she texted again. "Could you help me with the shelf this weekend? It's too high for me." Just that. Simple. Innocent. But her messages always read like something else between the lines. When I arrived, the sun was going down, turning the living room gold. She stood by the window, sleeves rolled up, hair loose for once. The light caught it like smoke. "I didn't think you'd actually come," she said. "I shouldn't have," I said. "Then why did you?" I had no answer. Neither did she. She handed me a hammer, her fingers brushing mine. That single touch unraveled everything I tried to keep tight. We worked in silence. The shelf leaned crookedly, and we both laughed when it refused to stay level. But the laughter was thin, nervous, breaking at the edges. "You're shaking," she said. "So are you." She looked at me then, really looked, and I could see the war behind her calm. Loneliness, guilt, something heavier. "You don't understand," she said softly. "People talk. They always talk." "Let them," I said. She gave a bitter little laugh. "You're young. You think defiance makes things disappear." I set the hammer down. "I think hiding makes them worse." Her silence stretched. The room seemed smaller, just the two of us, the faint hum of the ceiling fan, the smell of her perfume caught in the air. "I'm old enough to be your, don't." She stopped. Her throat moved like she'd swallowed something sharp. "Do you know what it's like," she said finally, "to have someone see you after years of being looked past?" I stepped closer, slow, until her back touched the wall. "Yeah," I said. "I think I do." Her breath caught. The space between us pulsed, a live wire stretched to its limit. She looked up at me, eyes flicking from my mouth to my eyes and back again. "Noah," she whispered, not as a warning, but as if saying my name would make it real. I reached up without thinking, brushed a strand of hair from her face. My thumb grazed her cheek. She didn't move away. Her eyes fluttered shut for half a second, just long enough for me to feel her tremble. Then she opened them again, whisper-thin voice, "This is a mistake." "I don't care." She laughed, soft and broken. "You will." But when she leaned forward, only a breath, I didn't stop her. The air between us thickened. My hand found her waist, light but sure. Her fingers gripped my shirt like she needed balance. She was so close I could feel her heartbeat, fast, unsteady, against my chest. Her breath touched my jaw. For a second, everything stopped. Then she said it, almost to herself, "I haven't been this scared in years." Her honesty hit harder than any touch. I whispered, "Then why are you still here?" She smiled, barely. "Because you didn't leave." We both froze in that suspended second, so close the world blurred around it. Her hand slid up my arm, stopped at my collar. "You can't kiss me," she said. "I wasn't going to." Liar. Our foreheads touched, a soft, accidental collision that neither of us corrected. She exhaled shakily, her breath warm against my lips. "If you do, I won't stop it, she said. And that'll ruin everything. I don't care, I said again, but quieter this time, like a confession instead of defiance. She tilted her head, just barely, like she might finally close the distance. And then, a sharp knock rattled the front door. We both flinched. Her daughter's voice, muffled but clear, "Mom? Are you home?" Elena's hand dropped from my shirt. The space between us shattered. But as she stepped away, she looked at me once more, eyes fierce, breath unsteady, and whispered, "This isn't over." For 3 days, she didn't answer my messages. Not a word, not even the polite "busy right now" she usually sent when she wanted distance without saying it. I told myself it was over. I even rehearsed the story I'd tell her daughter if she asked, something about helping with the shelf, keeping it light. But then, Thursday night, I got a call. Her voice was low, rough around the edges. "Can you come over? Just for a minute." When I arrived, she was sitting at the kitchen table, a half-finished glass of wine in front of her. She didn't look up right away. The lights were dim, too dim, like she'd been sitting there a long time. "Hey," I said carefully. She exhaled. "You shouldn't be here. You called me." "I know." The silence that followed wasn't the comfortable kind anymore. It buzzed with something anxious, raw. "Finally," she said, "she knows." My chest tightened. "Who?" "Eliza. Her daughter." I froze. "What? How?" "She found your hoodie," Elena said quietly. "The gray one. You left it here after the shelf thing." I remembered the night instantly, the way we'd nearly kissed, how I'd left in a rush. "She asked if you'd been here," Elena went on, "and I lied. But she could tell. She's not stupid." I sank into the chair across from her. "What did you tell her?" "That you helped fix a few things. Nothing else." "Did she believe you?" "She asked if I liked you." My throat went dry. "And?" Elena looked at me then, finally, eyes tired, soft, but brimming with something that looked a lot like panic. I didn't answer fast enough. The words hit harder than I expected. I leaned forward. "So now what?" She laughed, quietly, without humor. "Now I have to be the adult." I wanted to say something, anything, but her voice broke the moment again. "She told me she thought you were different," she said. "That she trusted you." That landed like a punch. I looked away, jaw tight. "You think I meant for this to happen?" I asked. Her voice softened. "No. But we let it happen." She pushed the wine glass aside, stood up, and paced. Her movements were sharp at first, then slowed as if her body couldn't keep up with her thoughts. "I spent years not wanting anyone," she said, more to herself. "Then you walk in with your quiet eyes and your questions and," she stopped, exhaled hard. "God, Noah." When she said my name like that, low, almost a sigh, I stood before I realized I'd moved. She turned toward me, close enough that the air between us felt too warm. "You think I don't see what this is?" she whispered. "You think I don't wake up every morning trying to convince myself it's nothing?" "I'm not pretending," I said. Her eyes flickered, surprise, fear, something tender underneath. "I don't want safe," I added. That made her step back. Just one step. But her hand brushed my chest as she did, a ghost of touch that undid her words. "You should," she said. "You're too young to carry this kind of ruin." I caught her wrist before she could move farther. "Stop talking like you're some disaster I can't handle." Her pulse fluttered under my thumb. "You don't know me," she said. "Then tell me." She looked at me for a long time. Then she whispered, "I kissed you first because I wanted to feel alive. That's the truth." The air left the room. I didn't move. Neither did she. Her admission hung there, hot and fragile, the kind of thing that couldn't be unsaid. "Say something," she said, voice trembling. "I don't think you kissed me just for that." She blinked, one tear, quick, stubborn. "You don't get it, do you? You're her future, not mine." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "I keep trying to believe that. It doesn't work." Her hand came up, pressing against my chest, not to push me away, just to feel how fast my heart was going. "This can't go anywhere," she said. "Then why does it feel like it already has?" Her fingers curled against my shirt, as if her body was betraying her words. The air between us pulsed again, that unbearable gravity pulling us back into the same orbit. "I should ask you to leave," she said. "You should," I said, not moving. She stared up at me, torn between everything she wanted and everything she knew better than to want. Her hand slid to my jaw, slow, trembling. "I can't keep pretending this didn't happen." "Then don't." Her breath hitched, lips parting just enough for the space to disappear, and then her phone buzzed again. "Eliza." The name lit up on the screen between us like a flare. Elena froze, the sound of the vibration filling the silence. I took a step back. She didn't move, didn't answer. Just stared at the phone like it was holding a verdict. When it finally stopped, she looked at me, eyes wet, voice steady again. "I need to fix this," she said. "Before it's too late." I nodded, but my voice came out rough. "Too late for what?" Her answer was almost a whisper, "For both of us." She turned away, pressing her hands to the counter, shoulders trembling. I watched her for a long second before saying, "I'm not going anywhere." She didn't look back. But when I stepped toward the door, her reflection in the glass moved, half a step, like she almost followed. Neither of us said goodbye. But the look she gave me as I left said it all. This wasn't the end. It was the point of no return. Rain again. It always seemed to rain when I went to her. This time, I didn't wait for an invitation. I just showed up. The porch light was off, but I could see her through the kitchen window, leaning on the counter, phone in hand, motionless. She didn't look surprised when she opened the door. Just tired. And beautiful in that way only exhaustion can make someone look real. "Noah," she said quietly. "You didn't answer." "I know." We stood there, framed by the doorway and the sound of rain. Her hand still rested on the doorknob, her eyes darting between my face and the wet street behind me, like she was deciding which direction the night would go. "I told you," she said, "I need to fix this." I stepped inside before she could stop me. "Then tell me what that means." She shut the door, leaning her back against it. "It means you have to stop looking at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you already decided." She exhaled sharply, rubbing her temple. "You don't understand what this would do to her. She doesn't even know what this is." Elena laughed, one short, broken sound. "Neither do we." I took another step closer. "Don't we?" The words hung there. The air thickened with something alive and impossible to contain. She tried to look away, but I saw the tremor in her jaw, the way her breath hitched when I moved. "I should have stopped this weeks ago," she whispered. "Then stop it now," I said, daring her. Her hand lifted, maybe to push me away, but it landed on my chest instead. Her palm flattened there, feeling the rhythm beneath. Her voice shook. "You don't make this easy." "I'm not trying to." The silence stretched, pulsing like a heartbeat. The rain outside softened to a hush. "You think this is about age," she said, eyes flicking up to mine. "But it's about fear." "I know," I said. "And I'm still here." She shook her head slowly, disbelief mixing with something warmer. "You don't even know what you want." "Maybe not," I said, "but I know who." Her breath caught. "You shouldn't say things like that." Then stop giving me reasons to. She almost smiled, almost cried, I couldn't tell which. And then she stepped forward, until there was no air left between us. The smell of rain clung to her hair, her skin warm and trembling against mine. Her hand slipped from my chest to my neck, thumb brushing the edge of my jaw. You don't know what this would cost me, she said. Tell me, I whispered. Her eyes searched mine, not for permission, but for a way out. She didn't find one. The world narrowed to the space between our mouths, barely an inch, one breath, one decision. Her voice dropped to a whisper. If I do this, there's no going back. Then don't stop. Her lips parted, trembling, close enough that I could feel the warmth of her next word before I heard it. But she didn't kiss me. Not yet. Instead, she pressed her forehead to mine, eyes closed, breath uneven. This isn't about want anymore, she said. It's about what happens after. I nodded, though she couldn't see it. Then let's find out. For a long, fragile second, neither of us moved. Then she leaned in, so slowly it felt like time gave us one last chance to change our minds. We didn't. The kiss wasn't perfect, too rushed, too desperate, but it was real. It tasted like rain and everything we tried to deny. When she finally pulled away, her eyes stayed closed, her hand still gripping my shirt. She whispered, almost to herself, now you know. I touched her face gently, brushing away a strand of wet hair. Yeah, I said. Now I do. For the first time, she didn't look afraid. The rain outside softened to silence. And though nothing about the world had changed, everything between us finally had. Mornings used to mean distance. That quiet, guilty space where everything between us felt like something we dreamed but couldn't say out loud. But now, this morning, it was just light. Real, soft, ordinary light sliding through the half-open curtains across Elena's kitchen floor. She stood by the counter in one of those loose shirts she always wore at home, sleeves rolled up, hair still messy from sleep. No pretending anymore. Just her. I sat at the table, watching her pour coffee, half waiting for the part where she'd say it was a mistake. But she didn't. Instead, she said, "You're staring." "I'm allowed to," I said. That made her smile, the first real one I'd seen in days. Not cautious, not careful. Just there. "Everything feels different," I said. "It is," she answered. "But that doesn't mean it's easier." She walked over, 2 mugs in hand, and set one in front of me. When she sat, our knees brushed under the table. Neither of us moved away. The silence wasn't heavy this time. It felt like something had finally settled, not perfect, but true. She looked at me, eyes softer now. "I used to think I was too old to start again," she said. "That maybe wanting someone was something I didn't get to do anymore." "You were wrong." Her gaze lingered. "Maybe. But you made it hard to stay sure." I reached across the table, fingers brushing hers. She didn't pull back. "Does it still scare you?" I asked. "Every second," she said quietly. "But it scares me more to lose it." Outside, the rain had stopped completely. The world sounded clean, new. "I told her," Elena said suddenly. I looked up. "Eliza?" She nodded. "Not everything. But enough." My chest tightened. "And?" She cried. Then she said she just wanted me to be honest. Said she always knew I was lonely. I didn't know what to say to that. "She'll need time," Elena said. "So will I. So will you. I'm not going anywhere." She smiled faintly. "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." For a long time, we didn't talk. Just sat there, hands still touching, coffee going cold, the kind of quiet that meant something good for once. Then she stood, walked behind my chair, and wrapped her arms around my shoulders. The kind of hug that says everything words can't. Her chin rested on my head. "You make me feel younger," she said softly. "Not because you are, but because you look at me like I still have time." I turned my head slightly, close enough that my voice brushed her skin. "You do." Her breath trembled, not from fear, but relief. When she finally sat beside me again, she didn't let go of my hand. "So what now?" I asked. She looked toward the window, where sunlight hit the wet glass, and said, "Now we stop pretending we don't deserve this." Her fingers tightened around mine. "We didn't kiss then. We didn't need to." The closeness was enough, the warmth of her hand, the calm in her breathing, the way her thumb moved absent-mindedly over my knuckles. The world outside kept moving, but it felt slower somehow, softer. Like it had decided to give us a second chance. When she finally met my eyes again, she said, "You should stay for breakfast." I smiled. "I was hoping you'd say that." And just like that, it wasn't about guilt anymore. Or fear. Or time. It was about two people who finally stopped running from what was real. 3.